Hi there. I'm Nadira Jamal, hostess of the Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse online radio show, and welcome to this special interview series with some of the instructors from the 2015 Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive. The intensive is now in its final year and will be held September 10th through 13th at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. To make sure that you don't miss out on this epic event, visit bellydanceintensive.com. My guest today is Rosa Noreen, who will be teaching a dancer's hands and arms. Rosa founded the Grace Academy to help dancers add depth and dimension to their work so they grow in confidence to take their places on stage and in the world. Her DVDs, online courses, and workshops have helped dancers around the world slow down and engage in the moment. You can check her out at rosanoreen.com, spelled ROSANOREEN.com. Thanks for joining me, Rosa.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about the workshop that you're teaching at the intensive?
Absolutely. I will be teaching, as you said, a workshop called A Dancer's Hands and Arms. There are two sides to this workshop. One side is the idea of your arms being a part of your dance. They're not just sort of something you're tacking on at the end, although unfortunately they are often the last thing that we add into our dance. I'm working to help make them integral to your dance. And the other side of this is technique, actually how to make your arms fluid or beautiful or strong or framing or leading. So there's two different sides to this workshop that we'll be covering.
Mm-hmm. And, what are the benefits of improving your arm and hand work for dancers?
That is a great question. There are some really, really, really important aspects of this, in my opinion. You can be an incredibly beautiful dancer in your torso, but if your arms are kind of flopping around, it's going to distract and also detract from your dancing. Sometimes the best arms are the ones that you don't even notice. You can see a dancer dancing beautifully with their arms, lots of snake arms, lots of expressive stuff, and that's really fun. That's something that we're going to cover. But also, just having arms that are simply strong and framing and allowing the rest of your body to show off without distracting from the beautiful stuff that's going on in your torso.
Mm-hmm. I know that when I've, especially as I've progressed as a dancer and learned more, often when I'm watching a show and what really impresses me is not so much a dancer who's doing all kinds of really complicated technical things, but somebody who's doing simple things with just, beautiful details and very often strong, extended arms, which may or may not be, highly decorative. They might be very simple, but, just that extension and beauty, is often what to me makes a difference between, wow, that's gorgeous, and that's very nice.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, who do you think this workshop is the most appropriate for? Are there particular styles or levels or personalities who would get more out of this than others?
Certainly. Well, at this particular version of the workshop, I'm going to be in the beginner track at the Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive. They have it tracked out for, let me look so I can tell you for sure. There's a beginner / intermediate, no, here we go. Beginner / intermediate track, which is belly dance basics. They have an advanced / pro track for Rex Sharkey, advanced pro for folkloric and musicality, advanced pro for fusion, etc. And then some other topics. So I'm in the beginner / intermediate category. So this workshop is intended for dancers who are either fairly new to dance and wondering what in the world to do with their arms while their hips are doing cool stuff, but it's also going to be a really great grounding workshop and also helping more advanced dancers, like intermediate level dancers, to really develop a practice around their arms. So it's going to cover a few things. It's not going to be crazy footwork. We're not going to be doing spins and crazy things like that. But this is going to be something that's useful for dancers who really want to master their arms and who want to both figure out how to do it in the moment and who want to develop or practice long term.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like this might also be interesting for teachers who are trying to decide when to introduce this stuff to their students. I know that when I'm teaching, I'm always trying to balance, when is the appropriate time to perfect the details? When is it, good enough for the first round, and when do we work into deeper refinements? And I know that a lot of teachers have very conflicting ideas about this. Do your hands have to be perfect in level 1 before you can move on to level 2, or is that something that you can polish later? And I know that you know, observing other teachers and when they teach what is really helpful to me.
That's a really, really good point. I really like to think of dance as a full body pursuit. We call it belly dance, but as anyone who's done belly dance knows, it's not just about the belly, right? So I had an interesting moment in a class I took in college. Well, my background is in ballet, and we often, ballet arms are very important to the class, but when we're doing something called marking, which is just kind of like trying out the steps without doing them full out, you just kind of put your arms in chicken wing position and kind of flop them around a little bit, and you work on the feet separately. I took this class in college that was kind of an overview of all different styles. It was following the Romani Trail from India to Brazil. It was the coolest class. But there was a guest teacher who came in and talked about Indian dance, and unfortunately, I don't remember specifically what style, but it was one of the classical forms of Indian dance. And she talked about how there's no such thing as just the feet. You have to get head to toe absolutely perfect in this particular form. And so you don't just do the feet. You have the whole body as being integral to the movement. So, I'm not quite that stringent with it, but I really do like to try and incorporate head to toe movements as part of what we do. And yes, most people will need to focus on one piece at a time, but there's no reason we can't work head to toe, in my opinion, from the beginning.
And how was it that you got interested in this topic in the first place?
Well, like I said, my background is in ballet. And when I was about 16, I got injured and ended up quitting ballet and found belly dance after college. And the arms are something that never went away. The arms and upper body carriage that I got from ballet stayed with me. And there's something that my my comfort level is in my upper body. So if I get nervous, I tend to pull up and extend. And so sometimes that can be overwhelming when it comes to belly dance and we're trying to be a bit more grounded, but it is a benefit in that, my arms are going to be long and they're going to be extended and they're going to be working hard. So that's something that I really like to share, and helping people have access to their upper body carriage and their arms is something that I really enjoy sharing.
And I think, I know you personally, and in fact, I saw you just over a week ago at Shimmy-a-thon in Vermont, and you taught a ballet for belly dancers workshop. And one of the things that impressed me a lot is that you did a really nice job of incorporating more oriental styling while you were teaching ballet material. And I think that's one thing that a lot of us, who have less ballet background, I took ballet as a very little kid and again in high school, but it was never my thing. And I think a lot of us who are coming with little or no background are afraid of is making our dance look over balleticized. Sometimes I see folks who have that very round, not stiff, but round, firm arm carriage that doesn't have that that flowing, more oriental look to it. And I think you really found this sweet spot between pulling what ballet can contribute to a more oriental look, but still being consistent with that aesthetic. So if there's anybody out there who's concerned about adding too much ballet, Rosa is going to help you add just the right amount.
Thank you. I'm so glad that came across that way.
Which is not to knock ballet in any way, right? It's a very efficient way of learning useful things.
Like I said, my ballet background has been an interesting addition, but sometimes a hindrance to to getting that grounded belly dance feeling. So I'm glad to find that I was able to communicate that appropriately.
Excellent. Now, is there a tip that you could share from your session that dancers could start using right away?
Absolutely. One of the first things that we're going to go over is lifting your arms, not by using your shoulder muscles as much as your back muscles. So if you hold your arm out to the side in any position, whether in a ballet form or in a belly dance form, that Oriental W as we call it, think about Have someone do this with a friend. Have your friend press down on your hand and try to resist by using only your shoulder muscles. And then, you'll get a certain amount of resistance, but it's going to be minimal. And then have your friend put their hand on your back muscles that run up and down your spine so that you can kind of feel where they are. And then try and use those muscles while your friend, the the side that's the same side as your arm that's sticking out. Yeah. So if I'm using my right arm, have your friend put their hand on the right side of your back, and then try using those muscles to resist your friend pushing down on your hand, and hopefully you'll find that you have a much stronger resistance. Using your back muscles helps to pull your shoulders down and back and give you a lot of strength in your arms that you don't have when you just use the smaller muscles around your shoulders.
That's really great advice. I've also found that's a lot less tiring than motivating
Yes.
from the shoulders, besides being prettier.
Yes, indeed.
So, what are you the most excited about for this year's intensive?
Oh, this is just one of my favorite events of the year. I'm super bummed that it's the last year, but I'm really, really honored to be a part of it. This was this was the first event where I taught a workshop on a national level back in 2011, and so I'm really thrilled to be returning. I'm just looking forward to the energy. There's such a fun, upbeat, excited energy to this festival. The volunteers are just right there. There's volunteers everywhere you turn. You can get information. There's friendly people who will help you navigate the casino. It's such a great vibe. And it's also fun to have our little belly dance cocoon in the middle of crazy Las Vegas. I really enjoy that contrast.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Rosa.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on this interview.
And thank you everybody for listening. If you'd like to learn more about Rosa, you can check her out at rosanoreen.com. One more time, that's spelled Rosanoreen. Or better yet, join us at the intensive. Again, this is the last time that this epic event is going to be held, so don't miss out. You can register now at bellydanceintensive.com. And to listen to more interviews with our fabulous instructors, visit bellydancegeek.com/Vegas 2015.